Hi there, welcome back to American Lingo Academy. I'm Fiona, and today we're going to learn 10 super useful phrasal verbs that native English speakers use all the time in everyday conversation. These are really common expressions that will help you sound more natural and fluent when you speak English. I'm going to explain each one very clearly and give you two real-life examples so you can understand exactly how to use them. So grab your notebook, get comfortable, and let's get started. Number 1, dress up. This phrasal verb means to wear nice, formal, or fancy clothes for a special occasion. When you dress up, you're putting on clothes that are nicer than what you normally wear every day. Maybe you're wearing a suit, a beautiful dress, or something elegant. We dress up for parties, weddings, job interviews, or any time we want to look really good. For example, imagine your friend is getting married next weekend and you receive a beautiful invitation in the mail. You're so excited. On the day of the wedding, you take a long shower, do your hair nicely, put on makeup, and then you put on your best dress or your nicest suit. Your roommate sees you and says, "Wow, you really dressed up today. You look amazing." You smile and say, "Thank you. I wanted to look my best for Sarah's wedding." In this situation, you dressed up because a wedding is a formal, special event. Here's another one. Let's say your daughter comes home from school one afternoon and tells you that her class is having a costume party for Halloween. She's so excited and asks if she can be a princess. You take her to the store and buy a sparkly princess dress with a crown and a magic wand. On Halloween day, she puts on the costume and spins around in front of the mirror. You smile and say, "Oh, sweetie, you look so pretty. You really dressed up as a beautiful princess." She giggles and can't wait to show her friends at school. Here, dressing up means wearing a special costume to look fancy and fun. Number 2, dress down. This phrasal verb means to wear casual, comfortable, or informal clothes instead of formal or business clothes. When you dress down, you're wearing something relaxed like jeans, a t-shirt, or sneakers. It's the opposite of dressing up. We dress down when we want to be comfortable or when the situation doesn't require fancy clothes. Some workplaces have dress down Fridays where employees can wear casual clothes instead of their usual business attire. For example, imagine you work in an office where you normally have to wear a suit and tie every single day. It's a pretty formal environment. But your boss sends an email saying that every Friday, employees can dress down and wear jeans and casual shirts. You're so happy because those formal clothes are uncomfortable sometimes. So when Friday comes, you put on your favorite jeans, a comfortable polo shirt, and sneakers. Your coworker sees you and says, "It's so nice that we can dress down on Fridays, right?" "I love not wearing a suit." You agree and say, "Me too. I feel so much more relaxed today." Here's another one. Let's say you've been invited to a backyard barbecue at your neighbor's house on Saturday afternoon. You're trying to decide what to wear. You think about wearing a dress or nice pants, but then your neighbor sends you a text message saying, "Hey, just so you know, it's super casual, just dress down and be comfortable. We're just grilling burgers and hanging out." So you decide to wear shorts, a t-shirt, and flip-flops. When you arrive, everyone else is also dressed casually and comfortably. You feel great because you dress down, and you can relax and enjoy the party without worrying about fancy clothes. Number 3, dream up. This phrasal verb means to invent something or create an idea using your imagination. When you dream up something, you're thinking of something new, creative, or original that didn't exist before. It could be a story, a plan, a solution to a problem, or any kind of creative idea. We use this expression when someone comes up with something clever or imaginative. For example, imagine you're a teacher and you want to make your English class more fun and interesting for your students. They've been looking a little bored lately. So one evening, you sit at your kitchen table with a cup of tea and you start thinking. Suddenly, you have a great idea. You decide to create a game where students act out different situations using the vocabulary they've learned. You're so excited about this idea. The next day, you tell your coworker about it and she says, "Wow, that's such a creative idea. How did you come up with it?" You smile and say, "I just dreamed it up last night while I was having tea. I wanted something fun that would help them practice speaking. Your coworker thinks it's brilliant. Here's another one. Let's say your son's birthday is coming up next month and you want to throw him a really special surprise party. You want it to be different from regular birthday parties. So you start brainstorming and using your imagination. You think, and then suddenly you dream up an amazing idea. You'll have a superhero-themed party where all the kids come dressed as their favorite superhero, and you'll set up fun obstacle courses and games in the backyard. You tell your husband about the idea and he says, "Honey, that's fantastic. How did you dream up such a cool party idea?" You laugh and say, "I don't know, I just let my imagination go wild." Number 4, dredge up. This phrasal verb means to bring up or mention something from the past, usually something unpleasant, painful, or embarrassing that people would rather forget. When you dredge up old memories or old problems, you're reminding people about difficult things that happened before. It often has a negative feeling because nobody really wants to remember or talk about these uncomfortable things. For example, imagine you had a big argument with your sister 5 years ago about money. It was a really difficult time and it hurt both of you, but eventually you apologized to each other and moved on. Your relationship is good now and you're very close. But then one day during a family dinner, your sister suddenly mentions that old argument and starts talking about who was right and who was wrong. You feel uncomfortable and a little upset. After dinner, you talk to her privately and say, "Why did you dredge up that old argument? We already resolved it years ago. I thought we moved past that." Your sister realizes she shouldn't have mentioned it and apologizes. Here's another one. Let's say you're at your high school reunion, meeting old classmates you haven't seen in 20 years. Everyone is having a nice time, sharing happy memories and laughing about the good old days. But then one person starts talking about an embarrassing thing you did in 10th grade when you tripped and fell in front of the whole school during an assembly. Everyone laughed at you back then, and it was humiliating. You feel your face turn red. Your best friend notices you're uncomfortable and later says to that person, "Why did you have to dredge up that embarrassing memory? That was so long ago, and it clearly makes him uncomfortable." Sometimes it's better to leave the past in the past. Number 5, drift apart. This phrasal verb means to gradually become less close to someone over time. When two people drift apart, their friendship or relationship slowly becomes weaker and they don't spend as much time together or communicate as much as they used to. It usually happens naturally, not because of a fight or argument, just because life takes people in different directions. For example, imagine you had a best friend in college named Jennifer. You did everything together. You studied together, ate meals together, and talked for hours every night. You were incredibly close. But after graduation, you moved to different cities for your jobs. At first, you called and texted each other all the time. But then you both got busy with work, new friends, and new relationships. The calls became less frequent. A year later, you realize you haven't talked to Jennifer in 3 months. You feel sad about it. You mention this to your mom, and she says, "It's normal, sweetie. Sometimes friends drift apart when life gets busy." It doesn't mean you don't care about each other. You decide to call Jennifer that evening to reconnect. Here's another one. Let's say you've been married for 15 years, and lately you've noticed that you and your husband don't talk as much as you used to. You used to have long conversations about everything, but now you mostly just talk about practical things like bills and schedules. You don't laugh together as much anymore. You feel like something is missing. One day, you talk to your therapist about it and she asks, "Do you feel like you and your husband have been drifting apart?" You think about it and realize that's exactly what's been happening. You haven't been spending quality time together. So you decide to plan regular date nights and put effort into reconnecting with your husband. If you're enjoying this lesson and learning a lot, please hit that like button and subscribe to our channel. We upload new videos every single day to help you improve your English. Your support really means the world to me, and it helps other English learners find these lessons too. Okay, let's continue. Number 6, drift off. This phrasal verb means to gradually fall asleep, usually without intending to or without realizing it's happening. When you drift off, you're so relaxed or tired that you slowly transition from being awake to being asleep. It's a gentle, peaceful way of falling asleep. We often drift off while reading, watching TV, or when we're very comfortable and calm. For example, imagine it's a Sunday afternoon and you've had a busy week at work. You're exhausted. After lunch, you decide to sit on your comfortable couch and read a book. The house is quiet, the sun is shining through the window, and you feel so warm and relaxed. You start reading, but your eyelids feel heavy. You keep reading, but the words start to blur. Before you know it, your eyes close and you drift off to sleep. An hour later, your husband comes home and finds you sleeping peacefully on the couch with the book still in your hands. He smiles and whispers, "She must have drifted off while reading." He covers you with a blanket and lets you rest. Here's another one. Let's say you're putting your 3-year-old son to bed like you do every night. You read him his favorite bedtime story about a little bear. You use a soft, gentle voice as you read. Your son is lying in bed, holding his teddy bear and listening quietly. You can see his eyes starting to close. You keep reading, and halfway through the story, you notice he's completely still and breathing deeply. He's drifted off to sleep. You smile, close the book quietly, kiss him on the forehead, and tiptoe out of the room. You tell your wife he drifted off right in the middle of the story. He must have been so tired. She smiles and says, "That's because you read to him so perfectly." Number 7, drill down. This phrasal verb means to examine something in more detail or to investigate more deeply into a topic, issue, or problem. When you drill down, you're not just looking at the surface, you're going deeper to understand the specifics and the details. We use this expression a lot in business, research, and problem-solving situations when we need to get to the root of something or find specific information. For example, imagine you're a manager at a company and you notice that sales have dropped by 15% this month. That's a big problem. At the weekly meeting, you tell your team, "We need to figure out why sales are down. Let's drill down into the data and see what's going on." So everyone starts looking carefully at the sales reports, customer feedback, and market trends. After drilling down into all the details, you discover that one specific product has been out of stock for 2 weeks, and that's what caused the sales drop. Now that you've drilled down and found the problem, you can fix it by restocking that product. Here's another one. Let's say you're helping your teenage daughter with her science homework. She tells you she's confused about a chapter on photosynthesis. You ask her, "What specifically don't you understand?" She says, "I just don't get it." You say, "Okay, let's drill down into this chapter and look at each part carefully." So you sit down together and go through the chapter step by step. You ask her questions about each section and have her explain what she understands. By drilling down into the details, you discover she actually understands most of it, but she's confused about one specific process. Now you can focus on explaining just that part, and suddenly it makes sense to her. She thanks you for helping her drill down into the confusing parts. Number 8, drill down through. This phrasal verb means to look through multiple layers of information or levels of data to find what you're looking for. It's similar to drill down, but it specifically emphasizes going through different layers or levels, like peeling back layers of an onion. We often use this in technology, databases, or when navigating through complex information systems. For example, imagine you work in the accounting department and your boss asks you to find out exactly how much money was spent on office supplies in the second quarter of last year. That information isn't on the main report, so you need to go into the computer system. You open the financial database, then you click on expenses, then you drill down through several menus and subcategories. First, you select the right year, then the right quarter, then the right department, then finally the category for office supplies. After drilling down through all those layers, you finally find the exact number your boss needs. You write it down and bring it to her office. She says, "Thank you. I know that information isn't easy to find." You smile and say, "No problem, I just had to drill down through a few levels in the database." Here's another one. Let's say you're researching your family history and you want to find information about your great-great-grandfather. You start on a genealogy website. First, you enter your grandfather's name, then you drill down through the family tree, clicking on each generation. You go from your grandfather to his father to his father. You drill down through several generations of records, birth certificates, and old documents. Finally, after drilling down through all these layers of family history, you find a record of your great-great-grandfather who was born in 1880 in Ireland. You're so excited. You call your mom and say, "Mom, I found him. I had to drill down through so many old records, but I finally found great-great-grandpa Patrick." Number 9. Drill into. This phrasal verb means to examine or investigate one specific topic or issue very thoroughly and in great detail. When you drill into something, you're focusing intensely on that one thing and really analyzing it carefully. It's similar to drill down, but drill into often implies focusing on one particular aspect or problem rather than just going deeper generally. For example, imagine you're a journalist writing an article about climate change. You've been researching for weeks and you have lots of general information. But your editor tells you the article needs more specific details about how climate change is affecting farmers in the Midwest. So you decide to drill into that specific topic. You interview farmers, visit farms, look at crop data, and study weather patterns in that region. You spend days drilling into this one aspect of climate change. When you finish, you have a powerful, detailed section in your article. Your editor reads it and says, "Excellent work. You really drilled into that topic and got some great specific information. Your article is much stronger now." Here's another one. Let's say you're a doctor and a patient comes to you complaining about headaches. Lots of things can cause headaches, so you need to be thorough. You ask her lots of questions. When did the headaches start? How often do they happen? What does the pain feel like? Does anything make them better or worse? You're drilling into her symptoms to understand the real cause. After drilling into all the details, you realize the headaches started right when she began a new medication. You conclude that the medication might be causing the headaches. You tell her, "I really drilled into your symptoms, and I think it might be your new medication. Let's try adjusting the dose and see if that helps." She's grateful that you took the time to drill into her problem instead of just giving her a quick answer. Number 10, drink up. This phrasal verb means to finish drinking something completely, to drink all of it. When you tell someone to drink up, you're encouraging them to finish their beverage, maybe because you're about to leave, or because the drink is good for them, or simply because you want them to enjoy it. It's a friendly, informal expression that we use in casual situations. For example, imagine you're at a cafe with your friend having coffee and chatting. You've been there for over an hour, and you both need to leave soon because you have appointments. You've finished your coffee, but your friend still has half a cup left. You look at your watch and say, "Hey, we should probably get going soon. Drink up and we'll head out." Your friend smiles, takes a few more sips, and finishes her coffee. She says, "Okay, I'm done. Let's go." In this situation, you use drink up to politely tell your friend to finish her coffee so you could leave. Here's another one. Let's say your 5-year-old son isn't feeling well. He has a little cold and you made him some warm honey lemon tea because it's good for sore throats. You bring it to him while he's sitting on the couch watching cartoons. You hand him the cup and say, "Here, sweetie, this will make your throat feel better. Drink up." He takes a small sip and makes a face because he doesn't really like the taste. But you encourage him, "I know it doesn't taste great, but it's good for you. Come on, drink up and you'll feel better soon." He trusts you and drinks the whole cup. An hour later, he tells you his throat feels better. You smile and say, "See, I told you it would help." All right, everyone, that's all 10 phrasal verbs for today. I hope you learned a lot and feel more confident using these expressions in your daily conversations. Remember, the best way to learn is to practice, so try using these phrasal verbs when you speak English. If you enjoyed this lesson, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel. We upload new videos every single day with more useful English lessons just like this one. Leave a comment below and tell me which phrasal verb was your favorite or if you have any questions. I love hearing from you. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next lesson. Keep practicing and keep improving your English. You're doing great. Bye for now.